Hi, I'm Chuck Gilmore with Power to Sing Live number 89. What is the first today? Our topic is the first step to be a great singer. So, welcome. This is the pre-show show. We'll start the show at the top of the hour. But I wanted to say hi to all of you who would like to come inside and just be a part of this preliminary pre-show. And as soon as you can hear me and see me, just give me uh, a high sign here, some kind, just to let me know that you in fact can see and hear. So, how's everybody doing today? Bruno Furno, I think you are the winner. You're the clear-cut winner, Bruno. You're always first. Um, Good, it's all working. That's what I was hoping for. Um, yeah, no, today I'm kind of informal. I got the t-shirt on. It's going to be almost 100 degrees today where I live in the Intermountain West, the Rocky Mountain area of the United States. Our mountainous range here is called the Wasatch Mountain Range, and our elevation is like 4,200, 4,300 feet in my home here, but it gets hot in the summertime. It's a dry heat. I wish there was a little more humidity for the voice, but it's a dry heat, so it's really not too bad. But we've had 100 degrees, 103, 104 earlier or later last week, and it's going to get up to close to 100 today. Joe Weston, looking and sounding great. Thank you, Joe. Great to see you here today. Um, so this past week has been really hot here in the UK. Glorious sunshine. I think for me personally, it would be tough to live in the UK, Bruno, because I enjoy the sun so much, and I know you get overcast there a lot. So, good for you. Glad to know you're getting some sunshine over there. Yeah, today we're going to talk about some interesting things, and if you think about um, what's the first step, what's the first step to being a great singer? It's an interesting question. You don't want it to be a misstep, right? You don't want to have a misstep right off the bat. You don't want it to take you down the wrong pathway, so to speak. So we're going to talk about that today. Um, so I guess the question that I have is the part of the pre-show show is, would you like to have a clear path? I mean, I know how I feel about it, especially when we're first starting out as singers. But even then, periodically, I just remember thinking, what, what, what's the direction here? You know, where are the signposts? Where are the, where's kind of the pathway with signs saying you're on the right track? You're headed the right direction. When will I get there? That's probably the biggest thing. When will I ever get this? So, I mean, I experienced some success in singing early when I started in earnest with this particular technique, and because I was getting cast in shows that I was auditioning for, which I really wanted to do, but I had the personal goals that I was wanting in my voice, and you just wonder sometimes. So, Andy, hi, nice to have you just recently sub. Great, awesome. Will promptly make my way through your collection. There are like 300 and I don't know, 300 plus videos, Andy, and there's just a whole lot of stuff. Milestones, yeah, great. I love that. I love that word, milestones. That's I'm going to write that down. In fact, what are the milestones um, to singing? And so today, I think it's going to be interesting conversation. Talk about what's the first step, and of course, this would be very controversial. I'm sure that every teacher out there has their opinion about this. And I'm not sure that there is a absolute positively, single first answer. Because the answer that I'd like to discuss today as in my mind as that's preeminent you could argue, I could argue myself. I could say, really, the first step is you got to match the pitch. I mean, let's face it. No matter what we do, if our voices don't match the pitch, we're toast. So maybe that's the first step. But I'm assuming that um, you're here because you can match the pitch. And if you're not, then you need to do some other preliminary work, and that would be, ear training. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about singers who are singing. And anyway, so milestones is a great word, Andy. I like that a lot because we not only want to know our first step, but what are the milestones? What are the mileposts even? You're in the United States where I travel, on the highways and so forth. You see mile marker 1 or mile marker 33, or you see these little things along the way, knowing that you're making progress. You're seeing some direction and you're seeing progress. And we like to have that in our lives. I do. I like to see that. So, okay. Um, so what about the rest of you, Bruno and Joe? Any thought about, would it be helpful to have a blueprint, so to speak, a blueprint with some direction and with some milestones and so forth? Um, I'm con I'm actually working on something like that. I'll share that with you in a little while. Um, so for me, if we don't really know the direction we're going, and I have to admit, I don't when I have a student standing here right at my piano or on a Skype call, we don't spend a lot of time talking about now here's the beginning and here's you know how you're going to progress and here's what the end looks like and so forth. Um, Partly due to the fact that this is a voice that you don't know exactly the precise direction the exercises are going to take and so on and so forth. And that kind of unfolds as you work together. However, another reason why we don't always do that is because a student is paying for time. And so you want to, I feel like it's important to get right down to, hey, let's listen to what's going on in your voice and let's get after it. That may not be the best thing. Or maybe there's another option. It's not either or, but uh, allowing my students to go to another resource to get this kind of information so we don't have to take lesson time for it. Anyway, Berno says, milestones. Andy, don't want to interrupt too much, but when I'm learning alone on YouTube, you really need someone there to tell you that you're doing it right. Blueprint is perfect. Self-education is a challenge because you don't have well, I don't think it's even particularly limited to self-education because I teach a lot of people face-to-face live, and we don't spend a lot of time talking about this. So I think there's a real place for this, a real need for it. Bruno says, work out exactly what you want to achieve and then make a plan on how it to be achieved. I think that's a good point. Maybe so in a way, Bruno might be implying that it might be different for people. And in a way, I'm sure it is. However, if you compare it to traveling somewhere, if I grew up 1,000 miles away from here, straight east in the United States, in the Midwest we call, and I grew up in the state of Missouri. If you're a native, you say Missouri, but the rest of the world says Missouri, and in a place called St. Joseph, which was the home of the Pony Express. Some people have heard of that. But if I'm traveling from here to there, I may want to stop at certain places, along the way, and for whatever reason, to maybe do some sightseeing, maybe able to grab a meal, maybe to go to get an ice cream or treat, or. So we may be traveling the same path, but somewhat different stops along the way, depending. So I'm not sure that there is exactly, we want to end in a certain place, be a great singer, but that pathway or those plans may be slightly different. Maybe on my path, I want to drive down and see something special and then get back up on the main path. And so as singers, we may all be headed to a general, sense of accomplishment and success. All right, well, here we are 3 minutes into the top of the hour, and I haven't said hi to those of you who are joining us. Hi, thanks for joining us. I'm 4 minutes late now saying this is Chuck Gilmore with Power to Sing Live number 89. And our topic today is the first step we must take, the first step to be a great singer. And so right in the middle of a conversation with some of you who joined in the pre-show. And so I want to welcome you now to the show. And so let's start out with this question. Would it be nice to have a clear success path, a clear pathway when we're learning to sing, so that we get the sense of this is where I am now, and these are some of the, and Andy mentions to see some of the milestones along the way, and this is what it looks like at the end of, this success path. Now, obviously, singing is a little bit, and I think most things in life are, we get to a certain point, and then it's a matter of, of mastery, of refining and improving. And so, you listen to Pavarotti, who says he spent 10 years on getting one note and making it glorious. Singing can be like that. I mean, we can arrive at a place, but even at that place now, we want to create this mastery of that place. So even though I can sing, and this is something that a friend of mine, one of my mentors, said to me, it's impressive that you have high notes. And so, our milestone may be, high notes, but are your high notes impressive? And so even creating a success pathway, there still is we are there. I can now sing the A flat, but do I sing it well enough? How well do I sing it there? And so there's more mastery kinds of things going on, even when we've accomplished the goal, even when we've arrived, right? So some comments. Bruno says, work out exactly what you want to achieve. Okay, we got that. And Bruno says, in regards to SLS and bridging, many people just don't know that it's possible. Amen to that. Or don't think they could do it. First task would be to realize, yes, you can. That's really brilliant, Bruno. I so completely agree with that. In fact, I feel like that's one of the main parts of what I'm doing, is to create the sense of possibility. I've been releasing a bunch of videos that have been case studies, and I'm hoping that the case studies have created more awareness of what is possible. Berna says, my first realization was bridging was my first realization was bridging. My next goal is make the bridge and head voice stronger so I can use it properly in the songs that I want to sing. That's my path. Great, Bruno. I want to pick up on that in a second. My end goal is to sing specific songs in head mix voice with the confidence and sound quality strength that I want. That's pretty clearly set out, Bruno. Congratulations. I think that's excellent. And more of us need to have that kind of clarity. And maybe there's some other things along the way, Bruno, like get breathing down really solid, or to have a better vibrato, or more vibrant vibrato, or more balanced vibrato, or the like. It may be to identify songs, genres, and so forth that you want to become master of. It might be, in my case, in musical theater, it'd be to have a bucket list of roles that I would like to obtain in theater, which I've done many of them now. And the only thing that's kind of catches up with you is you start getting too old for the parts. Subia, hello, Subia. Nice to have you here, Subia. She set her alarm. It's like 1:30 a.m. in India right now. Thank you, Subia. Um, Oak, Oaken, whenever we are shown an exercise on YouTube about bridging, they always seem to have no gap between chest and head voices. Yeah, that's what bridging does. But even if you're doing those exercises perfectly, is it likely to do that? Or the first step would be, uh, or the first step would be being realistic. I think that's a question, okay, it's like this. When you first learn to do any skill, let's just say it's riding a bicycle, a two-wheel bike. Um, at first, it's just being able to stay up without falling over. And that's kind of what if you're new to bridging, if you could just get through it um, without it cracking and breaking, then that's probably the first step. But well, I'm afraid that sometimes we don't do a very good job of starting at the very, very beginning. So just as a tip, Oken, the thing that I keep hearing back from many students is to reduce the loudness, reduce how much you're starting in chest, how much chest you're starting with. Because remember, you have to let up on that. You have to the chest voice has to diminish as you go higher. And what happens when we don't, then we get this big clip, this big crack, this big road bump in the middle as we're going through the bridge. So the number one thing I would say as a self-learner on YouTube is do it much softer than you think you should. Um, Inferno says my diaphragm support was lacking. I noticed when I was doing lip trills. My failure to do lip trills properly was directly the lack of support. That's improved so much. Yeah, so success path could include really, you could spend quite a bit of time working on perfecting the breathing aspect of it. Andy says, I've been seeing professional for 15 years. Okay, Andy, way to go, man. And I never took it serious till about a year ago, and I was amazed at what I didn't know. And Andy, apparently you've got a gift. You are a gifted singer, but what you're saying now is there's some aspects of technique that might give you better, more longevity. It might help you be a little, some tweaks here and there to take some of the tension and pressure off the voice. And that's what I get a lot from professional gigging artists that at the end of a busy week, they're hoarse, or, that at the end of a busy night, things aren't feeling quite as good as you'd like to feel. I don't know if that's your situation or not, but I've had others tell me that. And so it's helpful to learn some things to refine and improve what you're doing. And that's really what we're all trying to do. Because no matter where we're at, we're refining and improving. Okay, so let me just address a little bit here. Here's what I think. And Berto kind of let the cat out of the bag, and we have not collaborated on this in any way. But I know he's been a follower, a listener for a long time. I think the first step has to be a great singer. The first major step has to be to learn to transition from the low notes to the high notes without straining, without tension, without breaking or cracking, and without flipping in the falsetto. I think and without going extremely breathy. I think that that's the first step, and the word for that is, you have to get through the bridge, or another way of saying it is you have to be able to bridge or bridging. We have to get through the passaggio, that passageway, and most singers know it's there, and most professors of singing teach about it, but not everyone has been successful at teaching singers how to do it, nor have as singers. Just because we know it's there doesn't mean that we've been successful at bridging. So why is that the case? Well, it seems to be that once that bridge, that area of the bridge is really working, is intact, meaning that you're able to sing in and through the bridge, then the area before and the area after the bridge gets better too. And in fact, it just opens a whole new world to the singer. I think it's such a powerful concept. It's such a powerful principle. For me, it changed the whole game of singing. And some of you have heard this story before, but for me personally, I thought that the E above middle C was the top of my range. I wouldn't go back. I wouldn't go to the F. And I didn't do that. And I wouldn't consider that at all. Because I would have to really strain and stretch, and or I could do it in falsetto. Ah! But you can't sing a musical. You can't do that on stage. And if it's a big finish, you have to have a big strong F at the end of the song. You can't be singing these great big notes and say ah. That just doesn't work. So I was so limited to my voice, but I thought it was because that genetically I was limited. I couldn't go any higher than that. But come to find out, it was something called a bridge, a transition to a whole nother life, a whole nother area of the voice. Once we're able to do that and to do it successfully, do it well, then in my judgment, that's the first step we must take to be a great singer, and it has a multiplying effect. It's a snowballing effect. Things get so much better as a result. The bottom of the voice gets better, the top of the voice, so your chest and your head get better, and that area in the middle, that bridge, that area where the chest and the head have to start blending together, called mix, that gets better, and the voice almost heals itself. It's just phenomenal capability. And then once we get that first bridge down, there's the second bridge, and the second bridge down, then there's the third bridge. So there's work to do in those bridges, but the first bridge is the critical one, and that's basically my end of my message here. Is there is I believe the first step to being a great singer is to learn how to bridge. That is, and what I mean by that, without learning how to bridge, we say and it cracks, or we let go and go in the falsetto, or we just go real breathy, or we over something called a couple, which the vowel, the voice distorts. So we've got to be able to go through it. We got to be able to go through there like it's not even there. And we want to be able to sustain in it, right in smack dab in the middle of our bridge. For the ladies, it's the A, B flat, B, and C. For the guys, it's the E, F sharp. That is, ladies, the A above middle C. You know where it is. For the basso profundo, the very deep voice, the true bass, it's the A below middle C. A, B flat, B, and C. And for the contralto, female contralto, the very low voice, it's the same place as the tenors and baritones. It's the E, F sharp. You already know that, don't you? You already have a challenge there. You feel it, and you know something's going on there. That's your bridge. So to learn how to, we want to be able to sustain right in that, sustain that. And not just yell it in chest. and then go on into head voice in the same condition. That's why it's so powerful. Is that once you learn the bridge, then that same coordination is what you use to go into your head and on up into the second bridge. And if for most females, you want to have access to the third bridge. Sometimes us guys do too. But for me, it's mainly the first, second bridge. All right. So Subia says, I lack consistency in singing. Like I'm good sometimes and I'm bad sometimes. And I think I'm not having that power to sing higher notes. Well, that's Subia, that's a nice way of saying that, but it's not just it's not just power to sing. But consistency is something we're all working on, Subia. And don't be discouraged by that. There's things that I can do that help me be more consistent. And when I don't, I'm less consistent. Like get to sleep and manage the reflux and do my vocal exercises and so forth. Burnout says, agreed, Andy. Oh, sorry, Andy, I missed this. I can sing far louder and far more higher than I ever could with no sore throat or hoarseness. Amazing. Great. And agree, I spent the majority of my life with that tension, and reaching was the only way of getting high notes. Now I get higher than I've ever sung before with literally no tension whatsoever. So cool, guys. And it says exactly, power was my way, killing myself night after night. Yeah, because we begin to realize that we are working against ourselves, and eventually it will catch up to us. And this has led so many pros, so many professional singers out there to vocal damage. They have nodules on the cord structure, some kind of a hemorrhage, and so then they are out for months, sometimes years, sometimes the end of their career because the surgery didn't go well or whatever. So this is, I guess, another good reason why this bridging is so, I think, so critical. Hi, Evo. I've been singing for like 3 years, but I feel like recently my voice feels quiet and lacks power, and I do lip trills every day. The voice feels quite quiet. Feels quiet. Okay. I've been singing for like 3 years, so I feel like recently my voice feels quiet and lacks power. I do lip trills every day. So the lip trills are a great warm-up, and they really help get the voice in a condition where you can be ready to sing. But then you have other things that have to happen, like bridging, for example. So if we're hitting the bridge and we start pulling chest too high, then you're going to have trouble, no matter how many lip trills we do. So Evo, I'd have to listen to what's going on when you're singing, but most of the time the weakness comes because we're over singing, we're pulling the chest voice, and so the only way we can do those notes is to sing really hard, and that's what kind of leads us into trouble there. Okay, so I would like to ask, let me just stop it here. Let me see, what time is it? It's 22 after the hour. Some of you may have had some inkling on this, but the time, yeah, I'm happy to announce that we're getting close to releasing a membership site. And the thing I wanted to ask you today, and the membership site would be a place where we could gather. Like, for example, on some of the videos I've been putting out lately with that are case studies, I get people saying, well, I'd like to hear the people sing. And I'm happy, I would be happy to do that if we had a community that I knew we were all kind of on the same page, we were all supporting each other, we're all learning similar kinds of things, and we feel safe with each other. And that can happen inside a membership site. To open it up for just the public to make pot shots at somebody, you know, I don't want to put any student in that situation, because people who are public don't have any idea, first of all, what's going on, and secondly, what progress that singer has made. And so to them, it might be, you know, they may not like the person's voice, and then they'd be critical, when that's not the point of sharing someone singing. We're sharing someone singing because they're coming from a point of not being able to do something to being able to do something. And so that could represent a huge shift, a huge positive experience in the life of that singer, and yet they could be criticized for that in the public. And so inside a membership, it's safe. It's a place where we're supporting and helping each other. But here's the question I have for you. That's just one of the benefits. We can go very deep. We can go very wide on, let's just say someone, I think Berno, or maybe it was Andy, uh, one of you guys mentioned breathing. You could spend, inside a membership, I could spend a lot of time working with the concepts of breathing, or let's say bridging. You know, bridging there's so many aspects of it. But that's not my purpose right now. My purpose right now, and I asked this a month or so ago from some of the people who were online with me, and I just want to ask you guys. I know you got some conversations going here, but just really quickly, in a membership setting where you would, if you were a member, you would expect to be taught certain things. What problem, what singing problem, Subi, I think maybe you've already answered this. I've got some of the past answers written down here, but I would like to know, what particular problem would you like, would you feel it would absolutely have to be addressed inside a membership site? What problem would absolutely I would need to teach inside that membership site? If you just make that, you know, you just comment in this comment section. In a membership site, if you were in there, if you were a member, what absolutely would you expect to see? What help would you specifically need to have? Like that's just like maybe the number one and number two in the challenges you face as a singer. What would have to be there for you? I would really like to know that. While you're thinking about that, let me back up here and see if there's something here I could answer. So how would I feel comfortable with my voice again if it feels like I should be louder when I sing without trying? How would it be comfortable with my voice again? It feels like it should be louder when I sing without trying. Evo, I would say, first of all, have you downloaded some of those extras? Do you know your vocal type? What is your vocal type? And are you doing the exercises for the vocal type? Let me know that, because that would be the first step. And if you don't know your vocal type, Evo, in the description down below, after this video finishes, in the description below, there's a PDF that you can download. It takes you right to a test that you can take, and you can watch your videos about each vocal type, and you'll find out what your vocal type is. Then you can download free exercises that are for your vocal type. Subia says, okay, I want to ask one more thing. Can you tell how to train our ears? As I've noticed, it's easy to hear myself in the bathroom or in an empty hall. Subia, that means I'm not able to listen to myself properly, and that's why I'm making mistakes while I'm singing. I would say the thing that's helped me the most with that particular thing is recording myself. Recording myself not when I'm just singing, but when I'm doing vocal exercises, or even when I take a lesson, I have that recording, and then I practice to that lesson. The most valuable experiences I've had have been recording myself doing the exercises and listening back to myself while you know that of the practice session, that, and also listening back to myself to the singings session. That if I'm singing a song, listening to see what it's sounding like and what it's feeling like while I'm listening. That's a really great way, Subi, to train yourself to kind of tune in to what you're doing. Um, I would give that a try, first of all. Bruno says, oh, there you go. Bruno says, record yourself, listen back to recording. I just need to, Bruno, you take over, man. You got the answers. So I'm a little behind, and that's excellent advice. I would do exactly what he's saying. Membership, great idea. I'm interested. So, Berna, what would you like? What would be a topic that for you would be vital to inside a membership? Kim Ann Clark Music Studio, vocal hoarseness. So, Kim, are you saying that what are you saying that would be a topic that you would like to discuss or have taught in terms of like cause and prevention or some? Can you give me a little more elaboration on that? I'd like to know. Vocal hoarseness. Okay. Thanks, Bruno. I'm glad to know that you think it's has merit. Um, okay, Subi says she has recorded herself. I like I do that always, but still sometimes it's hard to listen. Yeah, it can be rather painful to listen to ourselves, but that's the point. And so try and correct it. Subi, try and correct it, and then listen back and compare it to the correct way or the right way, uh, and see if what you do makes a difference on the recording. That's when you kind of start to learn yourself a little bit. Um, Eva says, how would I know if I have vocal damage while singing, but my speaking voice is fine? Avo, if you would here's my recommendation. I've done this. I highly recommend going to see an ENT doctor, ear, nose, and throat doctor, particularly someone who has worked with singers in the past, because they're kind of tuned into the voice and what's happening with the vocal cords. They can take a scope, a flexible scope, enter it through the nose and down the throat. It doesn't hurt at all, and they can watch what you do. They'll have you make certain sounds, and they can record on video the vocal cords in action, and they can tell if something's not closing correctly, or if one side is slightly ahead of the other side, they're not vibrating bilaterally. There might be something wrong with one side of the cord. I mean, there's any number of things they can tell you on an exam. I would definitely recommend that, and go to somebody who can give you pictures and that you can see the video, and that they'll keep that record and give you a copy of it. Okay, I recommend that, and it really helps. It helps our minds to know what the problem is or that there's no problem. It's really important. I think that's a good choice, a good decision to make. Um, Clear definition of the types of voices, Andy says. That's a great suggestion. So Andy, when you say types of voices, are you saying like what the vocal type is, like full chest, high larynx? Are you talking about the soprano, the coloratura, the spinto soprano, the dramatic soprano, those kinds of typings or classifications? I'd be curious about that. That's an interesting suggestion. Subia says, I would love to gain knowledge on how to get strong mix. Okay. How to get strong mix. That's great. Thank you, you guys. These are great suggestions. My main goal in such a group would be making the mixed voice and the head voice sound as strong with as much depth as the chest is. Okay. I think that's right now it goes quite fluty. and alto sounding. Okay, Bruno, thank you. So developing a mix with uh, that has plenty of chest presence. That another way of saying that where your mix, you're getting depth of chord, a vocal chord in the uh, in the coordination, depth of vocal chord. Great, a great comment. Thank you, Verno. Avo says, "Is it normal to like your to not to like your singing voice? Like people say, I'm good at singing, maybe 8 or 9 out of 10, but I don't see it at times." What do you think? What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? What's the answer for Evo? I don't want to give it. I want you to answer him. Is it is it normal not to like your voice, especially at first? What do you say? Gino, Angelo, Jackson. Hi, I am Gino. I'm a singer since 9. Always wanted a voice like Ariana Grande. I have went to train vocally. I'm still not satisfied. That's a tall order. As you know, she's got quite a great voice and a high range. So it's not going to happen really quickly. So you just have to have patience because that's a big task. And you know, it helps to have vocal cords like hers and to have a range kind of built in that's up there. But some of the things we're talking about, Gino, are going to be helpful. So this is the right place. I think this would be of a benefit. Ivan says, hear how the exercise is done and point out what is wrong and what to do. That could save learning theory and which cannot replace competent instruction. How to practice for a specific voice. Thanks, Ivan. That's a great suggestion. Um, to hear how the exercise is done, and then kind of like a critique of the exercise, and then maybe show the correct way or something like that. Um, there is software now, you guys, that um, it's a software. It's the software I'm using right now that I can actually invite. I think I have to upgrade to a higher level of it, but I would be able to work with another person, like right on the screen, and you guys can be watching. And so I'm probably going to do something like watching and making comments. I'm probably going to be doing something like that, Ivan. So that's a great suggestion, and I'm glad to know that someone else would be interested in that because that. That is something that I think would be hugely valuable inside a membership. Okay, so getting lots of comments here. What's the time? I've got a student at the top of the hour, so I can't go over much today. Let me just see if, gosh, this episode, Berno steals all the Chuck's thumbers. That's okay, Berno. I'm excited. I really am impressed and excited that I feel like you really have got a great handle on things. So I welcome your comments, really. Don't feel bad about that. Um, Tomsy Bompsy. Okay, Tomsy Bompsy. Nice to have you here, Tomsy Bompsy. I don't think I remember that name before, so I don't know if it's your first time or not. I think there are a lot of good resources for learning the mixed voice out there. I'm really interested in analyzing singing style and adding your own color. So styling, personalizing, Um, own color. Okay, I think that's an awesome suggestion. I think that's an awesome suggestion. Kim Ann Clark, Studio Music. I'm saying that's a topic I want to be taught and causes and cure. Okay, that's hoarseness. Okay, great. Thank you. Causes and cures. Yeah, there's probably like a whole segment on that, Kim, where it would be like just vocal problems in general, hoarseness, and then hoarseness, could include a whole lot of different things, but more in depth on what the hemorrhages are and what the all those things. I think that would be a blast, actually. That would be very valuable. Thank you for that suggestion. Subia, so one more question. Is it good to raise soft palate? Um, I don't think it's good or bad, Subia. If the soft palate is down and it's closing, and as a result, the tongue and the soft palate keep coming in contact with each other. Probably tongue it's very nasally, or it's going up into your up nasal passages. Then it would probably be nice not to have the soft palate hanging down. But I don't teach specifically uh, students to raise or lower the palate. Um, I just give exercises that cause things to happen that enable you uh, to be able to do those things. So I don't spend much time at all. I don't spend any time at all talking about raising or lowering the palate. Um, Evo says you can sing like maybe a song, or I want to see how good your voice is because you do good at teaching it. Yeah, and so there are Evo. If you go to my on the YouTube channel, I have a playlist of I think me singing songs where there's like 5 or 6 different songs there that you might want to take a look at too. And they're not, I didn't do any. There's no auto tuning. Most of them were like one take or two at the most, and so it's just raw. It's me just singing. Um, Andy says head, chest, that sort of thing. Maybe with videos to hear the differences. Okay, cool. All right, so not necessarily uh, uh, the classifications of different sopranos, altos, and tenors, and so forth, but the vocal type that I deal with is that I really liked, and I think it's a great topic. I think it's a great topic, Andy. Is the pulled chest, um, pulled chest, high larynx, vocal type, the light chest, no chest, all those kinds of things and examples. Light chest, no chest. In fact, I think what would be cool is to have brave souls um, actually demonstrate it themselves. It gets kind of hard to illustrate every vocal type with my voice because um, I find that now that I can bridge, like it's harder for me to show how not to bridge, whereas to have a person who doesn't know how to bridge yet show how they do it. And that might be some brave soul who'd be willing to be a student, basically, for other people to learn from. But I think it's really a cool idea. Um, even so not only videos, Andy, but maybe live situations there. Um, so Evo's just clarifying this so good at teaching. Thanks. Burnouts depth of chord. Yep. Okay. Ivan, those who could afford private lessons have a great advantage uh, with a competent voice instructor, and all the instructions and progress I'm making is I'm always in danger to do something wrong or even hurt my voice. Yeah, so that's a good point. I think it's a challenge learning exclusively on your own. Although I did that, for a couple years. That's all I did was listen to CDs. This is before we had videos online. I'm sure I would have been doing that, but I just listened to tapes, um, literally from half of 1997, so all of 98, 99, like 2.5 years. That's all I did. Robert, hey Robert, nice to have you. Hi, thanks for your translation. Just joined. Great. Nice to have you here, Robert. Um, Malconian. Malconian. Nice to have you here, Robert. Sometimes like my voice, sometimes it sounds really good, sometimes it quite feel like it's inconsistent. Ev, Evo, join the club. You're not alone with that, man. Yeah, so everybody, I know you're answering, Subia, but Subia, I have been through that same thing. I mean, I remember taking a voice lesson. I put my cassette tape into the car, turned it on, excited, driving home. I thought I'd listen, and I was so sad because I thought, oh my, I thought I was doing so much better. Well, this has been a great session, you guys. I've got to run. I think you guys are all ready to go. Joe says, me too, my voice is really weak on the recording. Yeah, so Subia, it's totally normal. Not, you know what though? Over the years, I've come to like my voice. Of course, I've made progress and I've learned to bridge and I've gotten more consistent and all those things. Although I'll confess, I did some vocal leases yesterday and I haven't done much since my last show ended. And I can tell I'm out of condition. I'm out of shape. And I didn't like what I felt. I didn't like what I was hearing. I didn't record it, but you know, so it can happen to me too. And it's not that I don't like my voice. I don't like the way it sounded yesterday and all the scratchiness and everything. So, you know, be patient with yourself. Be nice to yourself, Sophia. You have a nice voice. Give yourself a chance. All right, so I just got notified here that my student's coming to this studio within the next 15 minutes. So got to wrap this up. Okay, Eva says so many famous singers on YouTube overuse auto-tune. I've noticed. Yep. Yeah, you know, I mean, I have nothing to hide, you guys. You need to see all the warts, and I'm not perfect. I remember the first recording I made, and I was in a studio, and I listened back to it, and I could hear my places where I was a little bit not quite right on tune. And of course, the guy fixed that because he was using it for something. And I just had to realize that, hey, you know, in a live performance, most of the time we don't even notice because the music moves. But if you got a recording, you're listening over and over again, you start to hear it, and you think, oh my, I thought it was so much better. That's the reality. You know, there might be some perfect people out there, but I'm not one of them. Okay, let me see here. Yeah, so auto tuning is a big deal, and you know why? You guys need to see the good and the average. Hopefully not bad, but Bruno says I'd be happy as a demonstrating. Okay, cool, Bruno, awesome. Thank you. That's terrific. Vowel modification. Okay, that's you know what, Subia? You know, Altu suggested the same thing. And that was when I first time I asked this question, that vowel modification and bridging, of course, were two big things that would really be of benefit in a membership. Thank you guys for sharing so much. Got to bring this to a close. Thank you, everyone who has commented today. Just a great session. Thank you for your help. I do believe strongly that the first step to learning the first step to being a really great singer is to learn that bridging process, to learn to go from your low notes to your high notes, to be able to get through that middle area there in your voice, so that you can't, so the listener and even the singer himself or herself, they can't even tell they're in the bridge. It just goes right there. It's like you've got one voice, no matter where you're at. High, low, in the middle, it all just feels the same, and it's good, it's strong, it's vibrant, and I think that's the step that has to happen first to really open the door to greatness. And when you're able to bridge and you're able to mix in that bridge between chest and head, then the bottom and the top gets better too, and so many great things happen as a result. Now, I admit that doesn't happen overnight, but that's the very first step. Thanks, Subia. Thank you for helping me. Berno, great to see you. Thanks, everybody. This is Chuck Gilmore with Power to Sing Live. You can sing higher with beauty, confidence, and power. See you inside the next video. Bye-bye. We turn this stream off.